Today, we're looking at a community wrestling with a classic question. How do you grow without losing your soul? We're going to dive into a pretty ambitious 20-year blueprint for North Saanich, British Columbia, their official community plan, to see just how they plan to solve this puzzle. Right at the heart of this whole plan is this powerful vision statement from the Saanich people whose traditional territory this is, Itsun Hanamumut, which means the land where it is good to be. And that's not just a nice phrase. It sets this profound goal for everything that follows. How do you make sure your community stays a good place to be for everybody, for generations? So what exactly is an official community plan, or OCP? Well, you can think of it as a town's single most important document. It's the official guidebook that the local government has to use for every single future decision about land, about development, about services. It's the rulebook and the roadmap, all rolled into one. And for North Saanich, this plan has to solve a huge fundamental tension. On one side, you have a community that is fiercely protective of its identity, its rural vibe, its farms, its beautiful coastline. But on the other side, there's this immense pressure to grow, to build more homes, to meet local needs, and to hit targets set by the provincial government. So how on earth do you do both of those things at the same time?
Well, this is where it gets really interesting. The planners in North Saanich decided to use a fascinating and, frankly, pretty radical framework to guide them. It's called doughnut economics.
So what is doughnut economics? It's really a big shift in thinking. Instead of just chasing growth for growth's sake, it sets up two critical boundaries. You've got an inner boundary, the social foundation, which is all the essentials we need for a good life, things like housing, food, and health. Then you have an outer boundary, the ecological ceiling, which represents the absolute limits of our planet. And this picture shows it perfectly. You don't want to fall short into the hole in the middle, right? That's where people are deprived of life's basics. But you also can't overshoot the outer edge, because that's where you get ecological breakdown. The sweet spot, the actual donut, is that safe and just space where both people and the planet can thrive together. That is the bullseye for North Saanich. Okay, so that's the theory. How does this actually work when the rubber hits the road? Well, the biggest test, the most immediate test, is housing. This is where the pressure to meet people's needs, that social foundation, collides head-on with wanting to protect the community's character and environment. And the pressure starts from the outside. The provincial government has basically handed down a mandate. It says North Saanich must find a way to get at least 419 new homes built in just 5 years. And that's not a suggestion, it's a non-negotiable target. But that's just the beginning. When they looked at their own local needs over the long term, the number they came up with was way bigger, a need for almost 2,500 new homes over the next 20 years. For a community that treasures its open spaces, that is a huge, huge number. And here's the counterbalance. This quote, which came directly from talking with the community, really gets to the heart of it. Residents were crystal clear. Protecting the rural character, the fields, the farms, the forests, that is priority number one. So the big question becomes, how do you fit 2,500 homes into a landscape that people are absolutely determined to protect? To try and answer that, the plan applies this donut model to specific areas of policy. So let's look at a couple of examples of how it works in practice. And we'll start with that ecological ceiling. So to stay within that ecological boundary, the plan makes some really firm commitments. It's not just about preserving what's there, it's about actively restoring ecosystems. It sets a real, measurable goal of having at least 30% tree canopy cover in every single neighborhood. And it's got some aggressive climate targets, like cutting greenhouse gas emissions by 45% by 2040. Now, you can't talk about North Saanich's character without talking about farming. I mean, look at this. A whopping 37% of the entire district is protected as farmland. This means agriculture isn't just some side industry here. It's literally woven into the fabric of the community. So, of course, the plan comes in with strong policies to protect this. The focus is on keeping farmland for farming, helping new farmers get a start, and boosting local food production. And this does double duty. It protects the ecological ceiling and it strengthens the social foundation by making the community more food secure. Okay, now for the other side of the donut, that social foundation, and specifically housing. The strategy here isn't just to build more, it's about being smart. It's about building the right kind of housing in the right places. The plan actually requires that new multifamily projects include affordable units. It encourages things like secondary suites and cottages, and it tries to channel new growth near existing services, all while keeping building heights low to protect that small town feel. Look, a plan is just a piece of paper unless you've got the tools to actually make it happen. So how does North Saanich make sure this blueprint has teeth? The plan starts with a remarkably powerful tool. It designates the entire district as something called a Development Approval Information Area. Now, what that basically means is that for any proposed development, the municipality can say, hold on, before you put a shovel in the ground, you have to provide detailed studies on the impacts on everything, from traffic to the local environment. Okay, so what does that mean for the most vulnerable spots? For the really sensitive areas? Well, it means the plan brings out an even more specific and powerful tool, and they're called Development Permit Areas, or DPAs. It's a pretty simple three-step idea. First, the plan flags specific areas that are either environmentally sensitive or really important for their community character. Second, it creates a special set of detailed rules just for those areas. And third, a developer has to get a specific permit proving they've met all those special rules before they can do any work at all. And the plan uses these DPAs to create all sorts of protection zones. They cover the marine shoreline, local creeks and wetlands, and even hazardous areas like steep slopes. But they also use them to control the visual form and character of new buildings, to make sure new development actually fits into the community. So how will they know if any of this is actually working? How will they know if they're staying inside the donut? Well, the plan brings it all back to that core idea. It sets up specific, measurable indicators for its goals. Success isn't just a feeling, it's going to be based on data. Are we meeting our housing targets? Yes or no? Is our tree canopy shrinking? Yes or no? Every key goal is tracked, and that's what makes the plan accountable. And this might be the most crucial part of all. This plan is not designed to sit on a shelf and collect dust. It's built to be a living document. All of that data they collect will be monitored constantly, and the entire plan has to be reviewed from top to bottom every 5 years. It creates this feedback loop so the community can adjust its course over time to stay inside that donut. You know, in the end, by using this donut model, North Saanich is trying to do something really profound. It's trying to manage its growth based on well-being, for people and for the planet, not just on dollars and cents. And it leaves us with a question that really any community-facing change has to ask. Can a blueprint, no matter how clever, truly balance a community's soul with its future? I guess time and the data will tell. Thanks for watching The Explainer.